Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. It is Wednesday, April 26th. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, and Eric Gendron backstage directing here today. Oh, a little Star Wars trivia. I like that, Eric. Good looks. We've got a lot to cover today. Obviously, we apologize not being on with you yesterday. Some mix-ups there with the weather, but we were able to get girls lacrosse on the air, so we got highlights from that. We want to cover Monday's baseball game between Darien and Stanford, and of course, a preview of this afternoon's boys lacrosse game between New Canaan and Staples. Kevin, Eric, happy you guys are here. How are you doing today?
Doing well. We're looking forward to a great game tonight. This game is a little bit of a playoff atmosphere to it. You talk about Staples, who would love to get a win at home against a very good New Canaan team who has not lost a conference game yet. And for New Canaan as well, this is a good, almost like a setup for Saturday's big game against their arch rival Darien. So big two lacrosse games coming up, and of course we can't forget about Friday night, big game in volleyball between Ridgefield and Darien. And
we're going to be joined by the volleyball captains of the Ridgefield Tigers tomorrow, and I am sorry to cut you off, Eric.
That's all right. No, how are we doing, everyone? And, speaking of that weekend game, what an impressive win by the New Canaan girls yesterday. And if they can play that way on Saturday, obviously, they'll let Staples kind of get back into it, but I think between the rain and, having that comfortable lead, they kind of let their guard down a little bit. But if they have put the pedal to the metal like they did yesterday, it's going to be a good game against Darien. I did not put a lot of faith in either New Canaan team originally for this Saturday, but my stock just went up a little bit for the New Canaan ladies.
And we're going to learn a lot about the New Canaan boys this afternoon. You talk about a playoff feel, though, Kevin, to yesterday's game. And really, we've preached it all week now. 3 weeks until the FCIAC postseason start, and it started on Monday, in my opinion. Darien and Stanford was a huge game for both programs. Darien coming off a disappointing loss against Danbury. They needed to prove that they are still the team to beat in the conference. Doesn't matter where they finish. It's their crown until they're beaten in that FCIAC postseason tournament. On the other side for Stanford, they're right around that 8th place position right now. Could have done themselves a lot of help knocking off Darien and controlling their destiny at least over one more team in front of them at this point in time.
Listen, I think that was a huge statement win for Darien. What a big win it was. You talk about Casey, what a bomb that was, that grand slam if you go back. Stanford, this is a scrappy team. This is a team that, you don't want to go up against in a one-game playoff or a game where you necessarily have to get in. You have to beat a team like Stanford. You don't want to play them. This is a very good team. And they actually did a nice job of trying to come back in that game against Darien, but boy, I think the one player that stood out to me the most, and he didn't do a ton on the stat sheet, but it was Justin Jordan. I think to have him as a guy coming into the bullpen as a southpaw, he just made the difference. He kind of shut down the Stanford offense when it was needed. And right towards the end of that game, he saved the game for the Darien Blue Wave to seal that victory, but he was impressive. He's a leadoff hitter as well. He mans out center field. He's got that good range out there. He's got good speed. Boy, I was impressed by Justin Jordan. Overall, I think Darien, this is a team that if they can get hot, they could really make a push for the potential FCI championship game at Harbor Yard.
I think the one thing that really separates Darien from the rest of the pack right now, and I take that back, there are two things that separate Darien from the back of the pack. Number one is their bullpen, because in my opinion, they're the only team in the conference that has a true bullpen. They've got starters that they want to get 3, maybe 4 innings out of, but then there's Jackson Vaught, Justin Jordan, and a variety of other players that they will call upon to pitch an inning each game. And Eric, with the new rule changes, the Blue Wave are never going to find themselves in a position where pitch count or innings pitched is really going to play against their hand.
Absolutely. Having that many weapons out of the bullpen is crucial for Darien and is definitely going to separate them come playoff time. And something that kind of gets lost in that game that we covered was Stanford was making that comeback, and they had the bases loaded with 1 out in that comeback inning in the bottom of the third. And right after the grand slam, it was 4-3, and you're thinking, here comes Stanford. But then Vaught comes out. It was actually second and third. Vaught walked the first batter, but then he's able to come back and get the last 2 outs and get out of that inning. That was, to me, the turning point in the game, because the next inning, Cord Fox leads off the inning with a solo shot, absolute blast to center field. And that just kind of changed the tone right there. That, if Stanford had been able to push across a few more runs, even to tie the game or, maybe go up 5-4, that would have really changed the tenor of the whole game. But having a weapon like Jackson Vaught out of the bullpen is really crucial for the Blue Wave.
And the other thing that stands out to me, and you just mentioned it there, the power hitting in the middle of the lineup. The combination of Casey Brown, Sean O'Malley, Cord Fox from that 3 through 5 spot. And you've got Peter Marin and Justin Jordan at the top of the lineup before him. There are a lot of RBI opportunities for those three guys, and they have the ability on any pitch to go either way and clear the fence. Let's look at the highlights from Monday's 9-5 win for the Wave, and then we'll continue to break it down right after this. As we've got two teams right in the thick of it in the playoff race, the defending FCX champion Darien Blue Wave, who come in 5-4, 4-2 in the conference, and the Stanford Black Knights 4-5, 2-3 in the conference. One strike away from getting out of the jam. Breaking ball hit out to center field, way back, and it is gone. A grand slam with 2 strikes on him, and just like that, the Wave is up 4-0. Popped out to second in his first plate appearance. Rips one down the right side. It's a fair ball. 1 run will score. Heading for home and scoring easily is Collazo. Kides makes his way to second, rounding for third, but he will pull up. It is a 2 RBI double. And just like that, the lead has been cut in half. And here is the 9th hitter of the order. Birkin rips one out to left center field. Jordan plants underneath it and makes the play. 3 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 3 men left on base for the Black Knight dealer. As this one, a high fly ball to center field. Back at the wall, and it is gone. Oof. Peter Marin at the dish, and Beldotti certainly does not want this to extend another batter, but that's going to be the case. Ripped out to center. 1 run will score as Collazo fires home. Will there be a play at the plate? No. As Davey and Williams will both score. It is now 7-3 Blue Wave. As O'Malley pulls one down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. Rolls to the wall. He is into second with a double, and Jordan has scored. The lead now 4. Stanford down to their last strike as the 1-2 from Jordan gets Collazo to chase down low, and that will do it. 9-5 the final as the Wave holds on. And we saw there, Kevin, Stanford was able to return serve several times after Darien posted runs in the 3rd and the 4th, and you felt like, oh, they're just going to pull away, and it's not even going to be a game. It makes you wonder, and you talked about it, how Stanford is a team that if they get in that 7-8 spot, they could find a way to beat a top seed. Imagine if they have Brad Papp dealing for them on the mound in that game, but that's the biggest difference is Stanford, like a lot of teams in the conference, is relying on one ace, and there's not much depth to the pitching behind it.
Right, and that's why I think Darien's such a dangerous team, because they have the depth in the pitching. They can go to the bullpen and be confident. But Frank, you talk about that 3-4-5. Yes, it's extremely dangerous. But how about Henry Williams? He's a guy that sticks out to me in this lineup. He bats 6. He kind of anchors that middle of the lineup, you'd say. But just his approach at the plate and how he plays shortstop, he just has the baseball IQ. You can just tell. You know, he hits the ball the other way as a righty. He just has that smooth swing. So to have a guy anchor that 3-4-5, which is dangerous, and then to have a pure hitter like Henry Williams, that's a guy who look out for come playoff time. If the Darien Blue Wave make a good run in the playoffs, he's a guy that could, make some big plays when it matters most. But for Stanford, a guy like Papp, that's a guy that you could tell he wished he was on the mound on Monday. But it's unfortunate. But he's a guy who's going to come back, pitch against St. Joe's. He's a good pitcher, but for teams that only have one really good starter, they're going to struggle when it comes down to playoff time. You're right.
So with that win, it keeps Darien just a game back in the FCX East standings. New Canaan is 6-1 after losing to Trumbull for the first time this season at the start of the week, and Norwalk is 5-1. That's in the East. Ridgefield, Staples, and West Hill all have one loss in the West Division, and then Darien, the only two-loss team right now. So you can see how tight it is at the top. And for a team like New Canaan, they could run into a little trouble. Their final 5 games of the year, Darien, Staples, St. Joe's, Ridgefield, and West Hill. I think the Rams are a playoff team, Eric, but we are not going to know much about the Rams until they hit that last stretch of the schedule.
Yeah, that is a gauntlet of teams that they have to face there, and you know, it's not just the playoffs that these pitching staffs are going to get tested. It's coming up real soon here because of all these rainouts that we have had in April. These kids are gonna start playing MLB style type schedules here. You know, they're gonna be playing 4 or 5 games a week here pretty soon. I mean, you know, it's the rain has wreaked havoc, especially on the baseball and softball schedule, and it is going to be breakneck speed on the road to Harbor Yard. But New Canaan, yeah, that's a tough schedule, and you're right. You know, they have yet to be really tested. I mean, they've been putting up tons of runs, but we'll have to see how they do against those top tier teams that are kind of pulling away, and kind of this Trumbull team having a hard time figuring them out. You know, they are able to beat Darien, they're able to beat New Canaan, but they fall to some other teams. So that's going to be an interesting team to figure out because they always seem to be a team that find a way to make it into the FCI playoffs, and we will have to see if New Canaan is for real after their incredible start.
Trumbull is a team that's going to need a lot of help too. They're sitting at 2-4 in the conference right now. Those 2 wins, though, when Ben Farrow are on the mound, and again, it's another one of those teams, you've got a definitive ace on your staff, Kevin, but when Farrow's not dealing, I don't know how confident they can be that they're going to come up with a win. He was dominant against New Canaan, held them to only 4 hits. This was a team that was averaging over 11 runs going into that game.
Right, and look back at that game we did at Darien. He was so dominant on the mound, but I think another team that, 2 teams that really are not being talked too much about are West Hill and Norwalk. I think those 2 teams really can make some noise when it comes playoff time, but how about Ridgefield? I mean, to have Colin Rowe and, Alex Price on the mound. Alex Price's ERA is 1.06. I mean, he's having a great start to the year, and just not only him, but we've preaching it again, the pitching. I mean, it's been so impressive. Just the beginning part of this FCI baseball season, I've been so impressed with the starting pitching and the bullpen. We look back at Darien, already their bullpen looks strong, but Ridgefield, West Hill, and Norwalk are teams to look out for. New Canaan, they're going to run into, they're probably the toughest spot of the season is this remaining schedule, and can they live up to what they've been doing? And to have Robbie Jones back is going to be big, and we'll see. I think New Canaan is definitely a team that's going to be up there, but look out for Ridgefield, Wilton, and West Hill.
And it's just what's most exciting about it is similar to what we've seen the past 5 years at the conference tournament. It's going to be so wide open, and it's really any team's year, and it could be a team that hasn't won it in a long, long time, if ever, that makes a deep run. So the conference tournament is going to be a lot of fun again. Before we go to break, while we're talking about baseball, I do just want to give a shout out to New Canaan's Allie Riley of Babson. The junior threw her first career no-hitter. Kev, how about this one? She struck out a career-high 14 batters, retired the final 20 batters that she faced. Her only walk was to the game's leadoff batter, and on the next pitch, she was picked off at first by the catcher. What a performance by Allie Riley. It deserves a shout-out for that.
Oh, that's just pure dominance there. I mean, what a performance. To walk the leadoff batter and then pick her off. I mean, in softball, too, that's not easy to do, but 14 strikeouts. Oof, that's well-deserving of some recognition there.
There are a couple of New Canaan locals who are representing the town very well at the college level. We'll have some more of those for you coming up next when we switch it over to lacrosse. We got highlights of girls lacrosse with New Canaan and Staples from yesterday. Coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Part of banking well is doing good. That's why, with the support of local community partners, Bankwell has launched the Bankwell Pet Adoption Project to boost awareness about the hundreds of animals in local shelters that need a home. And when you donate to the cause using the Bankwell self-service coin machines, we'll match your donation. For details, visit mybankwell.com/pleaseadoptme. Bank smart, bank local, bank well.
It's the InSports Athletic Functional Movement Assessment Program.
A program that uses a camera the same camera that you use with an Xbox video game.
What it involves is 3 phases. One is the initial test, which will give you a very objective and lengthy assessment of how you are moving and where there may be imbalances.
Once test gets the results from the assessment, we'll develop a customized program for the individual.
The objective really to try to get as many young athletes through this program as possible.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now at 3 locations: 131 Kings Highway North in Westport, the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When it comes to considering the outside of your home, just imagine the possibilities. Whether your dream is a stunning freeform pool or a tranquil, secluded garden, the team of professionals at Stonebridge Associates will make it a reality. We offer unparalleled landscape design and construction, masonry development, pools, spas, and water features, as well as landscape and garden maintenance. No other firm can offer the same level of creativity, quality, and personal attention. Discover the possibilities at stonebridgeassociates.net or call 203-544-8376 today.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. If you've got a collegiate athlete from your high school or town that's doing well at the next level and you want them to be mentioned on Nutmeg Sports, make sure you share some information with us because we've got some athletes from around Fairfield County, Kevin, who've been tearing it up. I first want to give some love to Jimmy Joe Granito. The young man has gone 6-2 in his last 8 games after starting the year 0-4, including a huge win over number 2 Hofstra, who was undefeated. Then he comes back with 19 saves against Delaware as Drexel is on the cusp of securing the top spot in the CAA conference for their tournament. Granito leads the conference in save percentage, saves per games, and total saves. He's also ranked 4th in the nation with 12.6 saves per games. So shout out to Jimmy Joe. Great to see you doing so well, man. And also congrats to Harry Stanton, who scored 8 goals in the Wesleyan Cardinals' 17-16 rally to beat the Tufts Jumbos, including the final 4 goals. Those 8 goals tied a program record set by Bruce McKenna back in 1984. He was also named the Co-Lacrosse Player of the Week for the NESCAC. So great job by those young men. So many FCIAC athletes go on to the next level, Kevin. It's great to see them competing at such a high level with such success.
You're right. We're seeing it not only in lacrosse, but we're seeing it in all sorts of sports. Basketball, we also had some FCIAC players, reach the NCAA tournament in men's and women's basketball. You talk about all around the board. There are some terrific student athletes who come out of Fairfield County and go to the D3, D2, D1 level. So again, it's really cool to see, and we love giving them the right shout out and the well-deserved shout out.
Again, if you've got an athlete you want us to mention, you can tweet at us at Nutmeg Sports, send us a Snapchat to the HAN Network, or email any one of us from the HAN Network as well. Let's stay with the lacrosse theme, though. We talk about girls lacrosse now. New Canaan had a huge game yesterday against the Staples Wreckers. Bit of a trap game as well. We talked about it beforehand, Kev. Rainy day, time had been moved. The game was canceled at one point in time. Darien looming on Saturday. I did not expect the Rams to come out of the gates the way they did.
Neither did I, and I think you can put question marks on was it because Staples arrived late? they didn't have a lot of time to warm up. They took one lap around the field, and then it was pretty much go time for the wreckers. So not a lot of time for them to warm up. But yeah, you're right. Campbell Armstrong, I mean, right out of the floodgates, a hat trick already in the first half. She was dominant, especially on the draw plays. You talk about Carly Bucci. I thought O'Day was great in net as well, made some key saves. I think that earned her a start on Saturday against Darien. This was definitely a confidence booster for the Rams as they approach their arch rival on Saturday morning.
You talk about a hat trick in the first half. Armstrong scored 3 goals in the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Bucci with 8 points, 5 of them on the assist. Braden Dial quietly had 5 goals. It was an all-around performance, but you got the feeling, Eric, in that first half, the short warm-up, delayed bus ride, just played a little too much of a factor against the Wreckers.
Yeah, and and on the rain too. I mean, they just looked absolutely shell shocked. They didn't know what hit them. I mean, Campbell Armstrong was a one-woman wrecking machine in that game. I mean, I almost feel like she almost pulled back on the pedal a little bit because I felt like if she had gone all out, she could have scored all those goals. But I mean, Bucci, my goodness, 8 points on the game. Are you kidding me? But as I alluded to at the top of the show, I mean, this was a huge confidence boost, I think, for New Canaan, and a kind of a crucial. It's crucial for them to be this dominant heading into the big game against Darien because, no love lost there between those two teams, and that they want revenge from that FCAC championship last year. And can they step up? Well, from what we saw yesterday, I think they maybe can.
And it could be Saturday, the first of 3 meetings this year, talking with Athletic Director Jay Egan of New Canaan after the game. The girls have moved up into Class L with the size of their freshman class this year. So we could see Darien New Canaan in the FCAC championship and possibly 10 days later playing for a state championship, which would be a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the highlights, and then I got a couple more thoughts for you, Kev, on the New Canaan Rams. Back on the HAN Network, Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman. Girls lacrosse action coming up on the HAN Network. New Canaan and Staples. Armstrong with the lane towards the net again. Third shot of the night, and it is in. The natural hat trick for Armstrong to start this one.
What a start for Campbell Armstrong. Just like that, a hat trick. Good opportunity here for the Rams.
12 yards out on the right post, and the shot to the stick side. Able to score is Bucci. It is 4-0 Rams early on. Isolate, beat her defender off the dodge. Big save there as Morrow kicked it aside.
Great save by Morrow. Good little hesitation there by Bruno.
Switching to the left hand is Dial. Nice finish inside. Another assist for Bucci. She goes down low, and Morrow not quick enough to get down. 9-0. 11:03 to play. Going down low, nifty shot there as Taylor picks up her second of the game.
Just like that, 10-5. Finish as well.
As Dial gets space and time again out in front. Her third in a row, 5th on the game, and it is 16-6. That goal with just 3:16 remaining. Get the clock and is trying to get to the front of the cage. Lets a shot go that O'Day can make a save on and hold on to as the clock strikes 0. New Canaan jumped out to a 9-0 start, and it was just too big of a deficit to overcome. The Rams winners 16-8. You mentioned this before, how impressed you were with Caroline O'Day. I feel bad. I gave the wrong impression that Caroline had been struggling this year. I think what was biggest out of that game for the Rams yesterday is the confidence boost O'Day has. It was far and away the best game she has played in her career. And it wasn't that they were out of this world saves. It was how effortless she made it look. She's playing like a goalie, Kevin, that belongs amongst the conversation for best in the state, not just the conference right now.
Right, she certainly is one of the best in the conference, and after a performance like that, and if she can do it again on Saturday and really outplay the Darien Blue Wave and shut them down offensively, then yes, we could be talking about one of the best goalies in the state. I thought Caroline O'Day, you're right, Frank, some of those saves did look effortless. She was unbelievable yesterday, making some great saves. That game actually could have been a lot closer. If you think about it, started that second half, Staples was actually making a pretty solid run at it. It's 10-4 for a bit, 10-5, and if Caroline O'Day doesn't make a couple saves, that game could be 10-7, 10-8. And she kept that game at a still, and I thought she played excellent. And again, I think that's going to pay forward for Saturday afternoon's game against Darien.
And that's exactly it. Just seeing the ball so well right now. And Eric, there was that 5-minute stretch at the start of the second half. Staples scores 4 unanswered goals. You look back to the FCX championship last year against Darien. New Canaan up 7-3 at halftime. They lose 12-11 in overtime. How critical is it on Saturday if the Rams are able to jump out to a lead? The first part of that second half, how important are those first few minutes going to be to really determine what the rest of the Rams season is going to be like?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, it's not just O'Day, too. I mean, I really think it was more, in this particular game, the defense, just kind of letting up. I think there's a natural propensity in pretty much everywhere in high school sports. You go out to a big lead and you let up on the gas a little bit. I mean, I think that's just, inexperience, being a teenager kind of thing. I don't know. But, they cannot let up at all if they are able to get any sort of lead. I'd be very surprised if one team really gets out to a huge lead in this game on Saturday. I got to think, considering how good New Canaan looked in that game, I think this could be a knockdown, drag-out fight between these two girls' teams. But Caroline O'Day is going to be crucial. She's going to have to be as good as she was in that first half against Staples the entire game. Some fantastic saves, and she is going to have to be at her A-plus game on Saturday.
1:30 from Dunning Field. New Canaan and Darien girls lacrosse battle for first place in the East. The only two remaining undefeated schools in the conference. Let's take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we're going to preview this afternoon's battle. Staples with a chance to avenge the girls' loss. The boys squaring off with the Rams. 5:30 from Staples Stadium. That's next on Nutmeg Sports.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the spring clearance event, now through April 30th.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
You don't have to go far for authentic Neapolitan cuisine and renowned wood-fire pizza. Pizzeria Loretano of Bethel is a contemporary Italian bistro, specializing in authentic wood-fired brick oven pizza Napolitana. Pizzeria Loretano was named one of America's top 1,000 Italian restaurants in 2008 by Zagat, and recommended by Jane and Michael Stern on National Public Radio's Splendid Table. Located close to the Bethel Cinema, we focus on quality, and our food is always made to order. Join us for live jazz Sundays from 6 to 8. Find our schedule, menu, and more at pizzerialoretano.com, and like us on Facebook.
The new fishing season is fast approaching, so it's time to head over to the dock shop and get your gear in order. We're now offering bait in both Darien and our Westport location. The dock shop can service and repair your rods and reels, spool up new line, and fill any empty space you might have in your tackle box. Whether you're a fisherman, boater, or beach bum, the dock shop is a unique place to shop. The dock shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Spring has sprung at Walter Stewart's Market, and we're celebrating the new season with fresh takes on spring. From the finest produce around to guaranteed fresh seafood delivered daily by the best local supplier. Not only are we your time-saving one-stop shop for everything you need this season, our personable team is always ready with a helping hand. Shop Stewart's for the best of spring. Find us at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
La France de Charles Trenet, c'est la France de tous les Français.
We told Dad he could have his office back if he sold 150 cars last month.
Deal's a deal.
Well, Dad, you did it. You get your office back.
Forget it. I'm having too much fun down here. My new goal, 160 cars. Wow. Folks, if you ever wanted a great price on a new Nissan, now is the time.
Right now, lease a 2017 Altima 2.5S for only $99 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office. I'm John.
We are back on Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, and Eric Gendron in the studio this afternoon. We look ahead to our coverage of Staples and New Canaan and boys lacrosse today. And again, another big game for the Rams. Have to be careful not to get caught looking ahead. Staples needs a win here as well. They cannot afford to fall too far behind in the conference, especially after the tough loss to Greenwich last week. 3-1 right now. How do you see them stacking up against the Rams today, Eric?
You know, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I really think this is a game that you can kind of throw out a lot of these records. New Canaan obviously undefeated in the FCAC right now. Staples with one tough loss, but they're right there. And we've seen these two teams before. This is just going to be a game that could go either way, I think. I think this is a huge test for New Canaan. They really need to look out and make sure that they're not looking ahead to Darien, which I know is tempting to do. But this is a tough Staples team that they have to be completely focused on before moving on to Saturday.
Kev, if there's one matchup to me that really stands out we need to keep an eye on, it's going to be Cooper Dobson in the face-off circle. Dash Sachs in the face-off circle against Nick Cravato. We know how good Cravato is. Sachs struggled a little bit against Sevillo in Greenwich. How important is that face-off matchup today?
It's huge. I mean, listen, Bailey Sevillo is probably one of the best face-off guys in the conference. So, going up against him, it's not easy. But I think today, it's gonna be 50-50. I think between the draw play. I think whoever really gets that first draw and then gets possession first off and gets that first goal, obviously will get the momentum in their hands. But you know what? I think Eric's right. I think it's gonna go 50. I think it could fall for Staples today just because they're at home. They had that home advantage. They are so strong at home, and it's pretty amazing how leading up to this Darien game, both New Canaan boys and girls teams have to play Staples, who in both sides are extremely strong. So huge tests for both boys and girls programs going up against Darien on Saturday. A huge test, I think, for New Canaan. This is probably going to be one of their toughest games of the year. And they're going to find out what their identity today, what kind of team they are, and getting ready for Saturday against Darien.
Ryan O'Connell got going a little bit last game for the Rams. He had 5 points off 3 goals and 2 assists. He'll probably be matched up against Billy Hutchinson today, the long stick. O'Connell has struggled at times in some of these bigger games. He's been matched up and almost lost the matches against the top defenseman. Eric, how critical is the success of O'Connell, and how do you see him stacking up against Hutchinson this afternoon?
This is a really great goalie matchup, I think, between both of these teams. I mean, looking at Staples' schedule, they've been able to hold teams to pretty low scores for the most part. I mean, holding Danbury and Trinity to 1 goal, that's kind of expected, to be honest. Holding Trumbull to 5 goals, Trumbull's been kind of red hot lately. That is a great sign for Staples. But this is, we talked about New Canaan. This is showing who they are. This next stretch is really going to show who Staples is too. You got New Canaan, Ridgefield, Darien, St. Joe's, all in a row, 4 in a row.
Yeah,
Whoa,
that's tough. Those are 4 teams in the playoff picture, and Trumbull is a team in the playoff picture right now. And Kevin, the goalie matchup there is intriguing. Garber, I think, has been very, very good. Drew Morris was a player we talked about at the beginning of the year. The Rams could rely on to win them games. They are a fairly confident group. If they score 7-8 goals, that's going to be enough with Morris back in between the pipes. They've played 3 teams already this season who are ranked in the top 15 in the nation. So I'm not trying to attack Drew Morris here, but it has not been the Drew Morris we've known the past few years. He's struggled a little bit and just has not looked as I don't want to say reliable, but more confident as he has in between the pipes so far.
Listen, New Canaan has had an extremely tough schedule this year, so this isn't necessarily a knock on Drew Morris. This guy is a very gifted goalie, and I think, give him a couple more reps and he can get hot, and once he gets going, he could be a goaltender that can really carry you through the playoffs, and we saw it last year in the boys FCAC tournament. He carried New Canaan all the way to the championship game. Yes, they fell to Darien in the final, but he played, I thought, outstanding last year. He comes back, a little bit of a tough start. It happens. I think, if he comes out, this could really start for him today against Staples on the road. He can have a great performance that really boosts his confidence, moves into Saturday against Darien, gets that confidence high, plays well against Darien, and who knows, that could really carry on throughout that schedule. You talk about a really tough schedule for them after Darien, a couple big-time matchups against Richfield, Trumbull, St. Joe's. Those teams are not easy to play against. I think Drew Morris has to continue to play well, and I think he will. He's going to bounce back. This guy's a very gifted athlete.
The future Maryland Terrapin will need to be on his best for the Rams to be successful all season. That game tonight at 5:30. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 with full highlights and breakdown of that one. And, of course, we're going to get you ready for this weekend's matchup, girls and boys lacrosse, New Canaan and Darien, the battle for exit 37 as the rivalry is renewed. And, of course, we'll also have the Ridgefield Tigers boys volleyball captains with us tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Final thoughts around the room. Let's start with our director, Eric Gendron.
This is going to be a great game tonight, and I really think that Staples has a bit of an edge playing at home, but I think this New Canaan team is really going to show us something tonight. I really think that this is a time that they need to show that they're ready for that next big test, and I think they're going to pass it tonight.
Frank, you got to know it. You got to know exit 37. I mean, come on, you're the expert with this on the merit. Come on, my man. But I think tonight's going to be a great game, like Eric said. Two great lacrosse programs. I think it's going to be a fantastic finish, leading up to two great games, leading up to Friday night's matchup between Ridgefield and Darien, which is going to be exciting. Looking forward to talking to the Ridgefield captains tomorrow in Nutmeg, and of course, I think we're all really, really excited for Saturday afternoon for New Canaan Darien lacrosse.
Small chance for rain around 4 o'clock and another small one around 6 o'clock. Shouldn't be an issue at all. It'll be a lot of fun. We're on the air at 5:20 right here on the HA Network, but for now, we are off until 2 o'clock tomorrow. For Eric Gendron and Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. Boys lacrosse this afternoon. Be here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Coffee break with Ken Chaplensky, always on the HA Network. Get me out.